They all stared at him. Dirty clothes, shaking hands, eyes fixed on the food. The store manager was already dialing the police. "I caught him stealing," someone whispered. But when they opened the old man's coat, the entire room went silent. Because what he was hiding wasn't food. It was something that would change every life in that store forever. Stay with me, because what happens next will restore your faith in humanity. The supermarket was busy that evening. Shopping carts rattled across the tiled floor. Cashiers scanned items in a rhythmic beep beep beep. Children tugged at their parents' sleeves, asking for candy. No one noticed the old man at first. He stood near the bakery section, thin, slightly hunched. His gray coat looked decades old, frayed at the sleeves with buttons missing. His shoes were worn down so badly that the soles were almost smooth. But what caught attention wasn't how he looked. It was how long he stood there, staring at a tray of warm bread rolls. The smell filled the air, fresh, comforting, impossible to ignore. A young employee named Jason, barely 22, watched him from the aisle. "Why is he just standing there?" Jason muttered. The old man's hands trembled as he reached into his coat, then pulled them back out. Again and again. Finally, Jason saw it. The man slipped one bread roll into his coat. Jason's heart jumped. "Hey!" he shouted. The store fell quiet. All eyes turned. The old man froze. Jason marched over, anger rising. "Sir, you can't do that. You have to pay." The old man looked up slowly. His eyes were tired. Not guilty, just tired. I didn't mean," he began. But Jason was already waving to the manager. "Call the police," Jason said loudly. "He's stealing." Whispers spread like wildfire. "Shameful. People think they can just take things. Disgusting behavior." The old man said nothing. He just held his coat tightly closed. The manager, Mrs. Carter, approached with crossed arms. "Sir," she said coldly, "open your coat." The old man hesitated. "Please," he whispered. "Let me explain." Mrs. Carter sighed. "We've heard that before." Two security guards stepped closer. Customers gathered, phones already raised. "Open it," someone shouted. Slowly, very slowly, the old man opened his coat. A loaf of bread fell to the floor. Gasps echoed. "There," Jason said. "I told you." But then, something else fell out. And then another. Not food. Not stolen goods. Blankets. Folded carefully. Old but clean. One blanket landed open, revealing a small handwritten note stitched inside. Mrs. Carter frowned. "What is this?" The old man's voice cracked. "They're not for me." Silence. "They're for my wife." Act 3. The shocking truth. The crowd laughed. "Your wife needs stolen bread and blankets?" But the old man shook his head. "She's in the hospital." That made people pause. "She hasn't eaten solid food in weeks," he continued. "But she gets cold. Very cold." Mrs. Carter lowered her phone. "The hospital blankets are thin," the old man said softly. "I bring my own so she can sleep." Jason felt his stomach tighten. The old man bent down, picking up the bread with trembling fingers. "I was going to pay," he whispered. "I just needed to count my change." He reached into his pocket and spilled coins onto the floor. Pennies, nickels, dimes. "Not enough. My pension was cut," he said. "I didn't want to ask anyone." The crowd was silent now. A woman wiped tears from her eyes. Jason felt his throat burn. But then Mrs. Carter noticed something else. Blood. Stains on the old man's sleeve. "Sir," she said gently, "are you hurt?" The old man shook his head. "No," he replied. "That's hers." An ambulance siren echoed outside. The old man flinched. "She doesn't have much time," he whispered. That's when a nurse rushed into the store. "Henry!" she cried. The old man turned. "Where have you been?" she asked, breathless. "Your wife woke up. She was asking for you." Everyone stared. "You left the hospital?" Jason asked. Henry nodded. "She gets scared when she wakes up alone," he said. I promised I'd be back before sunset. Mrs. Carter grabbed her purse. How much is the bread? She asked. The nurse shook her head. Sir, why didn't you tell us? Henry looked ashamed. I don't want pity, he said. I just want to keep my promise. Act 5, The Turning Point. Mrs. Carter walked to the register. She paid for the bread. Then she paid for every blanket in the store. She turned to Jason. Help him. Jason nodded, fighting tears. Customers began lining up, adding donations. Someone paid Henry's hospital bills. Someone else offered a ride. The store manager canceled the police call. Phones that once recorded shame now recorded kindness. Henry held the bread like treasure. Thank you, he whispered. She'll be warm tonight. Act 6, 3 days later. 3 days later, Jason stood outside the hospital. He carried flowers. He didn't know why, just that he needed to come. A nurse recognized him. You're the young man from the store, she said. Jason nodded. She's gone, the nurse said gently. Jason's heart sank. But, she added, smiling softly, she wasn't cold. Henry sat in the room holding the blanket. She passed peacefully, he said, with warm hands. Jason couldn't speak. Henry reached into his coat. He pulled out the handwritten note. Read this, he said. It said, if you're reading this, thank you for seeing us. The story went viral. Millions watched. The store changed its policy. Jason quit his job. He started a non-profit. Blankets and food, no questions asked. Henry volunteered there every week. Every blanket carried a note. Kindness is never stolen. Ending. Next time you see someone who looks suspicious, pause, because sometimes what looks like theft is actually love. If the story touched your heart, backhand index pointing right like, backhand index pointing right subscribe, backhand index pointing right share kindness forward. Because you never know who's just trying to keep a promise.